If you're wondering which vlogging cameras are worth your money, stick around. After we run through each product, I'll give you my personal take. Would I buy it or would I skip it? No fluff, just my honest opinion. Let's get into it.
DJI Osmo Pocket 3. This little guy is stupidly good for actual running around vlogging. The gimbal stabilization eats every shaky step for breakfast, while the built-in mics actually sound clear without me yelling into a dead wind. It feels like cheating compared to everything else that needs extra rigs. Would I buy it? Yes, because it just works every damn time I grab it.
Sony ZV-E1. Full frame, low light magic that makes everything look cinematic as hell, but then it starts cooking itself after 20 minutes of real recording. The size is nice until you realize you need a fan glued on like some sad mod just to finish a vlog. Would I buy it? No, because the overheating turns this premium toy into a frustrating paperweight after the honeymoon.
Canon PowerShot V1. Bigger sensor gives nice colors, and the zoom helps when you actually want to frame stuff properly. But the stabilization feels jelly next to the pocket, and it just doesn't disappear into your pocket the same way. Would I buy it? No, because the Osmo Pocket 3 does the grab-and-go thing better, while this one feels like a half step that costs more hassle.
Sony ZV-1 II. Tiny body with a wide lens that finally lets you fit yourself in frame without doing gymnastics. The autofocus snaps on faces like it owes them money, but the battery dies faster than my motivation on a bad day, and digital stabilization wobbles too much. Would I buy it? No, because it feels like a slightly better phone camera that still annoys you after a week of real use. Canon EOS R50V. Cheap interchangeable lens option that actually feels built for solo creators with the vertical mount and dual record buttons. Rolling shutter and that crop in 60 frames per second make action stuff look janky though. Would I buy it? Maybe, because for the price it gets you started without regret, but I'd still grab the Pocket for anything outside controlled shoots.
Sony a6700. This thing nails autofocus and stabilization for run-and-gun vlogging. Plus, the flip screen and auto-framing actually save your ass when you're solo. But man, that menu system still feels like it was designed by a committee on a bad day, and it heats up faster than expected in real heat. Would I buy it? Yes, because it's the most reliable hybrid daily driver here without the weird quirks. Fujifilm X-S20. The colors pop straight out the camera like film stock, and that open gate 6.2K gives you insane cropping flexibility for vlogs. Feels fun to use with the film simulations, but the autofocus hunts more than the Sony when things get chaotic, and the stabilization isn't quite as locked in. Would I buy it? Yes, because the vibe and video tools make it addictive for creative solo shooting.
Canon EOS R10. Super light, and the autofocus is snappy for quick vlog setups with that flip screen. No in-body stabilization though, so your footage gets shaky fast without a gimbal or steady hands, and the battery dies quicker than rivals. Would I buy it? No, because it feels like a half-baked entry-level toy next to the others with actual stabilization.
Panasonic Lumix GH7. This beast throws every pro video feature at you, including internal ProRes and unlimited recording thanks to the fan. Micro Four Thirds lenses keep it compact, but the autofocus still lags behind Sony in tricky vlog tracking, and the colors need more grading work. Would I buy it? Maybe, because it's overkill video monster, but pointless if you want simple point-and-shoot vlogging ease. GoPro Hero 13 Black. Tiny, rugged setup with buttery stabilization and new lens mods make it killer for action vlogs on the move. Battery improved, but low light turns to mush, and you still need accessories to make it comfortable for talking head stuff. Would I buy it? No, because the big mirrorless cameras here destroy it for normal vlogging, while this feels like a niche action sidekick.
Insta360 Ace Pro 2. This thing crushes low light with that big sensor, and the flip screen actually makes self-framing way less annoying than tiny front displays on rivals. Stabilization feels rock solid for run-and-gun vlogging, but man, the file sizes from 8K eat cards alive, and the app can lag when you're trying to quickly reframe clips. Would I buy it? No, because the DJI Action 5 Pro gives similar real-world performance for less hassle and way better battery life.
Insta360 X5. Shooting 360 means you never miss the shot and can reframe everything later, which is pure chaos magic for solo travel vlogs. Low light got better, but editing the footage still takes forever if you are not into the whole stitch and crop workflow, and it overheats on max settings. Would I buy it? Maybe, because it is unmatched for creative freedom, but I would rather grab the Ace Pro II for simpler point-and-shoot vlogging without the post-production headache. DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. Battery life is stupid good, so you can actually vlog all day without swapping packs every hour like the Insta360 twins. Colors pop nicely, and it is super rugged, but the image quality loses to the Ace Pro 2 in tough lighting, and the front screen is tiny. Would I buy it? Yes, because after a week of real use, it just works without drama and does not punish you with massive files or short runtime. Sony FX30. Downsampled 4K looks cinematic as hell with pro color science that makes your vlogs feel like mini movies compared to action cam footage. Autofocus and ergonomics are dialed, but you are carrying extra lenses, body, and rig while the Pocket action cams laugh at you. Would I buy it? No, because it feels overkill and bulky next to the Action 5 Pro that delivers punchy vlog footage without the full cinema setup tax. Nikon Z30. The flip screen and decent autofocus make basic vlogging painless, and it feels light in the hand. No stabilization means shaky footage unless you gimbal everything, and battery life plus missing headphone jack get old fast when you're out all day. Would I buy it? No, because the Action 5 Pro and Ace Pro 2 smoke it for real-world vlogging convenience, while this one feels like a half-baked compromise. Canon EOS R50. After a week of hauling this thing around for vlogs, it feels like the friendly budget buddy that tries hard but gets annoying fast with no stabilization, so every handheld shot turns into a shaky mess unless you gimbal everything, and the battery dies quicker than my motivation on a Monday. The autofocus is solid for face tracking, but the tiny controls and lack of headphone jack make monitoring audio a guessing game. Would I buy it? No, because the Sony and Fuji just do the job smoother without as many daily frustrations. Insta360 G3S. This thumb-sized beast is hilarious for sneaky POV shots and magnetic mounting everywhere, but after using it daily, the low light turns everything into noisy garbage and the battery gives up after like 20 minutes without the pod, making it pointless for real vlogging sessions. It is fun for quick action clips though. Next to the proper mirrorless options, it feels like a toy. Would I buy it? No, because it is too limited and gimmicky compared to the others for actual content creation. Sony ZV-E10 II. Man, this camera just gets it right, with buttery autofocus that sticks to your face no matter what dumb moves you pull. The improved sensor kills rolling shutter, and those vlog-specific buttons make shooting feel effortless. After a week of heavy use, it handles low light way better than the Canon or Fuji, and the audio is actually usable out of the box. Would I buy it? Yes, because it is the one I kept reaching for every time the others pissed me off. Fujifilm X-M5. The film simulations make your footage pop with that retro vibe, and the vlog mode with vertical shortcuts is genuinely clever for quick social stuff. But the lack of a viewfinder sucks in bright sun, and the ergonomics had my hand cramping after longer shoots. Plus, rolling shutter is noticeable. It is cute and fun, but gets old quick. Would I buy it? Maybe, because the colors are addictive, but the Sony edges it out for reliability. Panasonic Lumix S9. Full frame and such a tiny body with killer stabilization sounds like a dream until you hit the 15-minute recording limit and it overheats during longer vlogs, which killed my flow multiple times, and the cold shoe plus no proper mic monitoring is just dumb for the price. Image quality's nice in good light though. Would I buy it? No, because the record limits and quirks make the Sony feel like the smarter, less stressful pick every single day. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you pick the vlogging cameras for you. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Links to all of these products mentioned in this video will be in the description.